Hello everyone, Dylan from Gamer's Lair here today, doing a deck profile for Void. New color, or I guess lack of color, that we have not seen before until this set, other than from face down casters. Pretty cool, got lots of cool Cthulhu and other stuff like that, so let's get right into it. So we'll start off with the casters. 2 Gawain, pretty decent card. Basically, anytime they corrupt an orb, you can flip it face down instead. So that's pretty good. Once they flip one face down, you can flip or play another one. They corrupt an orb, you flip that one face down. Pretty solid. So 2 Gawain. 2 Lancelot level 2. We don't play any Lancelot level 1 because it doesn't actually require that. It actually just requires you to banish one of the stocks of the card, which is the card below it, or a face-down caster. So you can actually just play this on top of another face-down caster and use that entirely to pay for its cost. And it lets you grab a Cthulhu with the cost equal to or lower than the number of allied void casters from your graveyard in the field. So that's important. It's the number of casters you have, not the total level, like cards like Tina used to say. So the more void casters you have, the better when you're using that ability. Lets you play them from the grave, essentially. Cheat them in, if you will. Most important caster, 4 Arthur level 1 and 4 Arthur level 2. So Arthur level 1, nothing crazy. Just says you can give all of the casters that you have that are void the ability to tap and give someone 500 attack till end of turn, one of your void servants. Or tap and draw a card and discard a card. So that's a pretty good opener. You don't play any 1 cost, so it's pretty good. But the main reason you play that is for Arthur level 2. You banish another Arthur, preferably the one below it, but any face-down Arthur will work. Take the top 2 cards of your deck and put them in an allied caster zone face down as a caster. There is actually a errata for this one. It is face down and rested. It was mistranslated from the Japanese copy, so that's what you do. Face down rested. A really good ramp for the deck. Really, really good. You can accelerate quite quickly, although the ramp isn't immediately available. Still very nice and very good. That's actually it for the casters. The main reason you don't play anymore is because any face down card counts as a void caster. So anytime you don't have a caster to play, you just set a card that's dead in your hand. Honestly, one of the deck's strongest points is the lack of casters that you have to play. Which brings us to the next 4 Evil Ritual. This card I didn't think would be as good as it is, but it's quite phenomenal. So you banish a Cthulhu to play it. It makes Void equal to their cost +1, and you draw a card. So it replaces itself in the Aether you put into play it, as well as the card that it took to play it. And the draw is actually really good, because a lot of the time you'll draw a better card than what you initially wanted to play. But this card is phenomenal because it lets you turn break cards into additional mana or Aether, as well as cards that you cheat into play into additional Aether, which can snowball you into a lot of really big plays later on in the game. So we got our 2 costs now. We got Migo as a 4 of. Migo is the premium 2 cost. The other one is a vanilla with more stats, but Migo's ability is really solid, or hope I'm pronouncing that right. Because even though the stats aren't great, you get to look at an enemy player's hand, pick a non-caster card from them, and remove it from the game, not discard it, and then they draw a card. So card advantage-wise, you're not getting anything out of him, but he is removing key cards that could be countering your combos from their hand, or just cards that would be advancing their game state. And they draw a card, but you're just removing that card from the game, so you don't have to worry about it anymore, which is pretty darn phenomenal, if you ask me. Really, really solid. It's won me quite a few games when we were testing or playing in tournaments, where they had perfect answers and they got rid of them before they could play them, so they did nothing for them. We got a Conjure, Door to Another Dimension. It is a break, that's the main reason we're playing it as a 4 of. And it says to remove target enemy servant from the game. If you do, banish a servant or caster that has an element. So you never play any cards with elements in this deck for multiple reasons, this card being one of them. So you do the effect as much as possible. You remove an enemy servant from the game, and then that would be it. You don't banish anything because you do not control anything with an element. because void does not count as an element. So one more card has 2 cost. We have Celestial Retrograde Motion. It is a break. Each player shuffles their grave in the deck, then you draw a card. Main reason you play this is for demon decks. You get rid of things like the soccer ball, Kitamaru, anything that plays itself in the graveyard. But it also works really well against DCT decks, and that's just so you have an answer against those kind of decks. So moving on, we have our 3 cost break, Night Gaunt. So the break's the main reason you play it, but the effect's pretty good. If you play it without paying an Aether of an element, so that includes from break, because you don't pay anything for break, you may search your deck for a servant with a cost of 7 or more, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Then shuffle the deck. So you play 4 of this, again, mainly because it has break. You play all the breaks you can get since you don't play any elements, and Night Gaunt lets you search your bigger creatures so you don't have to play necessarily as many copies as you would need to otherwise. So for that, we got 4 of Hound of Tindalos, and this is another reason you don't play any element cards. We have an overstated creature, 4,000. It's really strong for 3 cost, with break, and at the end of the turn, you banish it if you control a card with any element. Luckily, you only play colorless, so very good card. Very, very good card. Next, we're going to go on probably the most important card in the entire deck, which is the City of the Cthulhu. You pay 2 less to play Cthulhu with a cost 4 or more. This is very, very, very good and is the critical point of the deck because it makes it not only so your more expensive Cthulhu are able to be played for a reasonable cost, it also makes it so things like your 4 costs are now 2 costs, and with 2 copies your 4 costs are now free, and with 3 copies your 7 costs are now 1 mana, and if you manage to get all 4 of them, you can actually just straight up play your Cthulhu for free, and also the higher cost ones become, I think, 4 mana. And this is ridiculous with cards like Evil Ritual, because you can play a 4 cost creature for free and then use it as 4 mana with Evil Ritual, and then you draw the card. It's pretty ridiculous in terms of being able to get out huge plays quickly, and that's one of the main reasons that Arthur isn't 100% of the deck's mana capacity, or Aether capacity, but it is really important that you have one or the other, or else you're probably not getting very far in the game. Your opponent will more than likely outspeed you at that point. So we move on to 4s now, which are going to become pretty relevant because, as I said, the bulk of the deck is from playing high-cost creatures relatively cheaply and easily. So you have Nyarlathotep. It is a break as well, which is nice. If it's if it's played without paying Aether of any element, you remove a target servant with cost 3 or less from the game. So, as we pointed out, with 2 copies of the field spell, the addition, the barrier, whatever you want to call it, you actually can play this card for free. So it's pretty critical to the deck, even if you don't necessarily get the most benefit of the breaks sometimes. And the stats are kind of weak, it's usually going to be a free or very cheap cost card. So, next up, we have Haster. And what Haster does for us as a 4 of is not only is it, again, above 4 cost, so we can cheat it in quite easily, but it also has alright stats and the ability that if you play without paying Aether of an element, once again, common theme in this deck, you target player banishes servants equal to the amount of face-down casters they control. So, if they naturally set any, which most players will at some point, this is always going to get at least 1 kill that way. If they don't, for whatever reason, do that, you have cards that can flip their cards face-down, which will, of course, allow you to get rid of their creatures, their servants, without targeting. And that gets around stuff that switches into play, like the talent deck and stuff like that, because as long as they have a creature to begin with, a servant, you're going to get rid of it. And then moving on from there, we're going to start rounding out the deck with our big boys, which there aren't that many, but they're pretty good. So we got Cthulhu as a 4 of as well. And what does Cthulhu do? Cthulhu is a 5,000 attack creature, which is pretty alright, with double corrupt. But the most important thing is when it declares an attack, if you don't control casters of an element, so another reason that we don't play casters of element, we turn target level 1 caster face down. And this is pretty critical to combine with Haster, because it means that we can turn not only a great creature that has the ability to remove their orbs very quickly, but we can make Haster into a way to continually clear their board every turn without having to commit any attacks or other resources. And the more Cthulhu you have on the field, the quicker that you're going to be clearing out all their level 1 casters, leaving them with colorless Aether, which isn't able to really do very much in most decks. And unless they have level 2s, they're not able to protect any of their cards against that. But it also makes Haster quite good. So not only is this card very good on its own, it also combines quite well with Haster. You can also search it from Night Gaunt, but the main point being you want as many of this card in your hand as possible because you can play it for cheaper with the barrier. And that brings us to our last big card, Shub-Niggurath, the Mother of the Void. Why do we play this card? Well, it's 10,000 attack, which other than other Cthulhu is the strongest attacker in the game. It has triple corrupt, so it corrupts 3 orbs when it attacks instead of 1. If you cheat it into play, it does kill itself. Most of the higher cost Cthulhu will do that, which is one of the other reasons that we picked the level 7 Cthulhu as our other Cthulhu to play, because the 7 cost is the highest cost one you can cheat into play. The other reason we play her, besides your attack and the triple corrupt, is that when she attacks, she removes all enemy servants they control, cards in their hand, and cards in their graveyard from the game. So once we get to the point that we can play this card and attack with it, we've essentially won. This is the card used to seal the game, and because it's searchable with Night Gaunt, we don't need to run multiple copies of it. So that allows us to have a game finisher that's going to remove all the advantage they've accumulated throughout the game, as well as their field and their graveyard. So they're left top decking and picking up cards from their orbs, which honestly is more than enough to clear out things for them. It does kind of suck when she is in your orbs, but that said, if you're in the position where they're attacking your orbs to begin with, she will become available to you where you can play her. If you're not in a position where they're ever attacking your orbs, this is probably a win more in that situation anyway, because you're already winning and they don't have the position to fight back in that case. Which case, if they're playing defensively, Haster is very good at cleaning up boards. Things that this deck is weak against, most notably is aggro. If they have a very significant board presence and they're hitting you in the face, you have to rely very heavily on hitting breaks that are going to do something. Nyarlathotep being one of the better ones, Hanatundalos being the highest statted, able to take down their stuff, and Night Gaunt has a decent defense and can search out later game plays for you. But unless you're seeing your key components, you're probably not going to be able to fight back, and you are going to lose to aggro in those cases. It's one of the reasons that I put in the Celestia Retrograde Motion, because even if you can clear the board against a deck like Demons, it's very easy for them to refill it from using their grave, which Shub can also get rid of once you're able to play her, which can be quite early, but generally until you get your setup going, she or any of your other Cthulhu are not going to hit the board. Another really awesome play that you can do if you have her on the field or bigger Cthulhu is you can play Evil Ritual, banish it, and get an excessive amount of Aether from that. So I've done it once where I actually did play this, got its effect off, and then the next turn I played the Evil Ritual to generate enough Aether that I could play all the 3 costs that accumulated in my hand. Because unfortunately, the 3 costs actually become a liability in the later game because they cannot be discounted by this card. Only the 3 or 4 cost or more cards can be. So that's everything about the deck. If you have any questions at all about it, just feel free to leave a comment. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this deck goes from here. I probably will make some changes as we continue playing it and testing it out, but I think so far it's proven quite effective and very good. Something I just want to give you guys a shout out about involving Caster Chronicles is that we are going to be running a very large tournament here in Barrie, Ontario at the Gamers Lair very shortly in the month of October, and it is going to be officially sanctioned by the company, so I'd like to let everyone know that that is coming up. I'm going to be posting the information for that in the description of this video so everyone can have a chance to attend, hopefully. I know not everyone is able to make it out to these kind of events, so I'd like to give everyone as much of a heads up as possible. And we're going to be giving away a really cool promo package with entry. You're going to get one of each of the following promos. You're going to get Passion Wing, the awesome chibi version. Twinkle Charm, again, another awesome chibi version. Mona Styla. Shara Angelica Summer Uniform version. Skulls Mulfit Summer Uniform version. And a Sigma Rain. As well as a Sherry, which is a chibi as well. So you'll be getting one of each of these promos, which is quite a significant package, just for entering. And we'll also be giving away exclusive playmats and something that I think everyone will enjoy. The top 8 players will get acrylic artworks of a girl from each color. I'm still trying to think of what the last acrylic will be, because there's 7 colors, coincidentally, and Void. So I'm thinking probably what the 8th person will be is a popular Void caster. But otherwise, it's going to be one of the magical girls that is represented from each of the other colors. So Passion Wing, Glory Butterfly, all of these fun guys are going to be acrylics, and that's going to be pretty awesome. These are going to be one-time prints, exclusive artworks that are going to be available in the order of standing. So first place, we get to pick first, then second place, then third, and so forth. And then we'll also have exclusive top 8 playmats as well, which will be pretty nice. And it's going to be a good opportunity for everyone to come down, trade, play out decks, have a really good time with a competitive environment. So that's it. Once again, any kind of suggestions on decks you want to see, let me know. Any comments or questions, again, just comment below. Thinking next time we'll do sweets. Thank you very much for watching.